Well, it's July 13th, 2012. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana, or near Indianapolis, Indiana. Hopefully the date is not an omen of things to come for this Indianapolis Hamfest. This is the night before, and the building behind me has been deemed unsuitable for people to be in, which is the building that we were in years past. Now we're in a tent with a grass floor. Should be interesting to see the Indianapolis Hamfest for 2012. Well, it's now the middle of the night, and the tent seems empty, with the lights on and security coming by every now and then, waiting for all the eager shoppers to show up, starting at about 6 in the morning. Well, it's just a little after 5 in the morning, and the natives are up and restless, getting ready to let the crowds in, starting at 6 o'clock. The crowds will be coming in here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, why Hamfest always starts so early is beyond me. Well, it's just a little after 6 in the morning, still setup time, as it's starting to lighten up outside. Early morning shoppers looking for that bargain they just cannot pass up. Well, I'm here with Maria, and she's on the outskirts of the flea market. And Maria, what is it exactly that your job is here at the Indianapolis Hamfest?
Taking flea tickets and getting people directed to where they're supposed to be at the flea market.
So there's actually assigned spots then here in the...
No, they assign them down there unless they came the night before and they had the spots.
And then you're also dishing up breakfast for the workers, then, right?
Yep.
Okay, what's on the menu today?
Biscuits and gravy, potatoes.
A good, healthy breakfast, right?
Yep, my husband makes it.
We're here at the Indianapolis Hamfest, and we're with the Indiana National Guard, and I have Specialist Wallace with me, and he's going to tell me about their display of antennas and radio equipment.
Well, we'll start off outside first, and outside you can see our main radio antenna. It's a multi-frequency antenna. It's 10 meters high. They actually go up to 30 meters. This is our 10-meter one. As you can see, the two top antennas, the two top antenna spires are UHF and VHF. There's 800 megahertz in the middle, and then there is a VHF antenna, which you see. So we cover all those bands, and we cover both the military and civilian side of HF. And that's what brings us here, is the civilian side of HF. Next to that is our data satellite, and that's where all of our data and video and all that stuff goes through. All of this, as you can see, including the tent, what you call them, ECUs, which are your heating and air, and then on the other side of this trailer are like 3 generators. All that fits into a little trailer, and that trailer can be airlifted on the C-130 to wherever these services are needed in the country. Each state gets one of these systems, and it's called the JIS, Joint Incident Site Communications Capability is what it's called for short. Alright, now we're here at the tent, and in the tent you can see where all the activity is. We're going to start by working our way inside here. Immediately is our video system, video teleconferencing. That goes through our dish. Moving over to our little stacks. This is the network stack where all your data go through, your laptops, the phones, the VGC. The middle stack here is our core radio stack. You have your UHF, your VHF, or your 800s here. There's the radio scanner. I think it's pulling up weather right now. And these little devices are our golden device, which allows us to mix crossband. Somebody can talk on the 800s, and we can be heard on the UHF or VHF. That's what this little fancy thing does. It also allows you to call in and talk to people on here through 2 phone lines. That's our power distribution model. It gives all the power for this because these draw some serious amps. Okay, over here to our right is the Mars system. We just got this. It's an addition to the JIS, and this is the main reason why we're here is because of the Mars. Mars is where your amateur radio side comes in. We have military and civilian. Right now we're in civilian, and what it does is allow you to send emails as well as talk through the radio. We have a little Pactor modem that takes the mail and compresses it and streamlines the data through the HF.
Dick McKenna, W9FG, and he is with the Indianapolis Hamfest. Dick, how long has the Indianapolis Hamfest been around?
Well, the Indianapolis Hamfest has been around. This is our 43rd year.
And somebody told me that you used to have a hot air balloon that you hung out over the Hamfest to advertise it to begin with.
For a number of years, we held the Hamfest at the Marion County Fairgrounds, which has a larger area. And for several years, we'd have a hot air balloon that would go up about 125 feet with our information on it, just to point out the location for the Hamfest.
Now, the Hamfest, basically you're going to be getting people who are amateur radio operators for the most part, but I presume you get in some of the general public as well?
Well, you know what's funny is the first few years that we ran a Hamfest and advertised it, we had a lot of people come to some type of a pig roast. But after they got in and they saw that we were a Hamfest, and the Hamfest is made up of several areas. One, we have new equipment vendors showing the latest of amateur radio equipment. Two, we have an electronic flea market. In fact, we boast that we have the largest outdoor electronic flea market in the state of Indiana. And then three, because of the similarities between amateur radio and personal computing, we have a large array of computing equipment. So we do get in amateur radio operators that are here to be educated for the latest technologies in equipment, and then we get the public in to look at the latest technologies in personal computing.
And do you know about how many people you're expecting to have today?
Well, our expectations today is a little over 1,200 people.
Okay, and question maybe you won't be able to answer, but why is it that Hamfest of all types seem to start so dadgum early in the morning?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's because majority of their Hamfest are one-day activities. So we start early in the morning to allow the people, the vendors, the flea market people to come out and get set up, and then we let the populace in a little later so they can walk around and view all the wares.
All right, well, thank you, Dick. I am with Major Hammer. He is with the Indiana National Guard, and also the director of Mars.
Indiana Army Mars, yes.
The Indiana Army Mars. And before we think that he's taking a outer space flight to Mars, what exactly is Mars?
Mars, the name changed a couple of years ago. It's now the Military Auxiliary Radio System as opposed to the Military Affiliate Radio System, and that was the purpose behind it, was to make it a more official part of the military's communications infrastructure. In general, Mars was designated to be a global emergency backup for the Department of Defense. For the most part now, because we have the internet and a number of extensive communication systems in the military, not a lot of call for Mars overseas at this point. So we've refocused for disaster response inside the United States, continental United States. So we do a lot of work with the National Guard in particular because they're the primary military units that do the disaster response, as well as we continue to run on a daily basis our state level and region level nets in order to maintain our proficiency on radio procedure and keep our equipment operational.
Okay, now you know what Mars is all about.
That's fairly expensive. That's $40. Night visions are expensive. Batteries in there, you can try it out.
Well, we're with Dan McCarthy, who is the meteorologist in charge, and I presume of the Indianapolis Weather Office.
That's correct, yes.
And what is it, Dan, that hams do with the Weather Service?
Well, the hams are actually in our office taking storm reports from other ham radio operators from around central Indiana. So it's very important that they're involved with our operation during severe weather, when we're expecting hail, damaging winds, or tornadoes, and when we have people that are calling around or even driving around, they can radio their reports right into us.
Okay, how long has that partnership been going on?
Well, it's been going on with the Weather Service for a number of years. I would say probably 15 years at least. So it's been quite an active and quite a great partnership over the years.
And do these ham radio operators have to have any kind of specialized training?
Well, you'd have to have some kind of radar training, of course, and radar is readily available on the internet now. So if you have some radar training and can count on us to interpret the radar for more specific details, I think it's a great partnership and really keeps people informed and other spotters and chasers informed as well what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Bill Mangle, who is both a vendor and a shopper here at the Indy Hamfest. And Bill, what did you buy today?
Well, I bought a couple of what we refer to as trash and trinkets, which is parts and connectors and stuff like that. But the big takeaway is it's getting close to the end of the day, and people. This is generally when the best bargains come out, and it just so happens that a guy had a brand new 24-port Ethernet switch, which is great for the environment of what I wanted to get it for, and I was able to get something that normally would have ran several $100s for only $15.
And I notice your table is pretty empty. So you sold a lot of stuff then.
Oh, my wife is going to like that because the instructions were, you know, she said load up the back of your Jeep and bring it home empty. So I've got a couple of big ticket items that are still here left, but you know, sometimes you sell them, sometimes you don't. But I sold, you know, probably the lion's share of what I brought.
So that means you'll have a good dinner waiting for you tonight then, right?
Well, maybe. But you'll have a smile on your face.
I've thought a lot. I don't think I'm sure.
I don't need a whole case. I just need
This is classic dumpster diving. Well, the crowds are dwindling and the Hamfest, the Indianapolis Hamfest for 2012, is coming to a close. Last minute shoppers, bargain hunters, you name it. But the wraps are pretty much done for the Indianapolis Hamfest. And so are we.